everyone. I'm very happy to be here amongst you and to connect with you and share with you about noise pollution. As scientists, you all are very strong potential change agents to educate society about the problems of noise and what people can do about it. Can we move to the next one? Okay, now see, as per a NITI Aayog report, urban India is contributing to 60% of the GDP, and this is slated to increase up to 70 to 75%. Now, what this does is it shows us the density of population that is now increasingly living in urban areas across India. And what this also means is that we need to make urban India a more livable and sustainable place for all its residents. Next one. So currently, what seems to be happening though is that the more a city contributes to the national GDP, it seems to be the quality of life and livability seems to be inversely proportional to its economic contribution. Now, if you take, a prime case is Mumbai. What are some of the problems that we face? And these are common to many, urban areas in India. Heat, air pollution, water availability varies. It's not just for the residents who live in gated communities, but also for all residents of a city. So water availability, water quality, very long commutes due to either bad roads or mismanagement of traffic, noise pollution, poor infra, stress, medical issues. These are some of the problems that most urban residents grapple with. Next. Now, what this is doing is that the noise pollution is affecting physical and mental health of every age group. It is like I shared in the earlier slide, it is not that noises are the only problem that we are facing. Noise is one of the many problems that we are facing. But if we were able to reduce noise, we would be able to significantly improve health for all people who live in that area. Next. Now, this is a decibel scale. So most of you would be familiar with this, that, a forest or a library is in the range of 10 decibel to 20, 30 decibel. But averagely in urban India, we are being exposed to noise levels in the upwards of 75, 80, 85 decibel. I would invite everybody to, find an online, an app for download a decibel app which you can download so that you can accurately or reasonably well know the noise level in the environments where you are spending a good part of your day. Now, it could be that your home is near a busy road, so you're getting constantly the traffic sounds, or when you are commuting. Now, I have done this in Bombay. What I find is that the local train, the metro, the decibel level tends to range between 78 to 84, 86 decibel, which is a very, very high level for for half an hour or 1 hour journeys that we tend to make. It's a very high level of noise. Next. Now, noise is more than just decibel. There's frequency and vibrations which also make an impact. Now, for example, let's say your house is near a busy road. There's traffic noise coming at you all the time. You may close the window and the door, and that to some extent reduces the noise that is coming into your home, into your ears. But at the same time, if you see, if somebody in the house or a neighbor is listening to TV or radio or some music at a certain decibel level, it may not be very high, but that noise comes through in a different way compared to the noise of, let's say, traffic. So noise has different kinds of components and aspects to it, and this is something we need to be aware of. We can't only classify noise from a decibel perspective. Next, please. So what all is noise pollution doing? It's affecting the quality of life and even lifespan in some cases. It is affecting productivity and thereby the economy. Now, as scientists, you would definitely, you are in the knowledge sector, you would need, a quiet environment to be at your productive and creative best. So you imagine if your, workspaces were near very loud and noisy areas, it would really affect the way, the quality and volume of work that you are able to do. And it affects everybody. It's impacting birds and animals. Noisier places obviously are very unsafe because should somebody fall, others around cannot hear them, or if there's a cry for help, people can't hear it. So noisier space is obviously a more unsafe place. And chronic noise pollution over a period of time increases conflict. Next, please. Now let's look at the different segments so that we understand in detail the extent of the impact of noise pollution. Uh, Noise affects infants and children. The previous one, please. Yeah, thank you. So it affects children, infants and children. There are developmental issues, cognitive issues, behavioral changes, academic performance. Now, a lot of times, people you would hear a lot of people say, maybe even you have said it at some point, saying कि आजकल के बच्चे, they are different from us. But let's also appreciate the stresses, the physical stresses that children of today are being put through. When they go to school, when they're coming back from school, they're exposed to a very high level of noise while going to school and while returning. That's affecting the child. They're not able to understand or express it. So it comes out in the form of, somewhat tantrums or, poor, less concentration. So when we make places are cities quieter, schools, the roads, uh, overall the city, we will see an improvement in the quality of life for children. Their academic performance will improve. Next, please. uh, Prolonged hearing impact, exposure to noises in the range of 85 decibel can cause hearing loss, and hearing loss is not reversible. Physical health, increased level of hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, elevated heart rate. In fact, one of the things after the research I did for the book, I'm quite convinced that the increased levels of, the non-communicable diseases that we have today in our country, noise is one of the contributors. Yes, lifestyle, consumption of alcohol or cigarette smoking or eating, very fatty food, oily food does contribute to some of the health conditions, but noise is also a factor. And how is this a factor? Because when you hear loud noises, your body has an unconscious reaction to it. At a cognitive level, you may think that, okay, I'm in this noisy place, I have to, endure it for the time that I'm here. But that's your mind thinking. Your body is not thinking like that. Your body is having a stress response to that noise. And this is how, over a period of time, constant exposure to uncontrolled loud noise results in hypertension. Chronic sleep deprivation. This affects obviously cognitive abilities and health. You imagine there are so many people who are sleep deprived, and they are quite often, behind a wheel. Either they're just driving themselves, or there are other people in the vehicle with them. It could be an Uber driver, it could be an auto driver, it could be a member of your family. So when that happens, the person is a risk not just to themselves, but to anyone who's, in the vehicle with them, or anyone who happens to be on the road at the same time as them. Mental health. Now, this kind of chaotic environment is obviously not conducive for mental health. This results in anxiety, in depression, in stress related issues. Workplace productivity, noise can affect concentration and productivity. Next, please. Senior citizens, like children, are another vulnerable group uh, as far as noise pollution is concerned. There's accelerated, hearing loss, cognitive decline, sleep disorders, because they're not able to, they're light sleepers. So, at night, somebody at 12 o'clock, someone's going on a two-wheeler with the silencer off. It affects them. They're not able to sleep. And that lack of sleep then creates a domino effect in terms of health issues. Social isolations. And this happens, kind of gradually, because senior citizens are not comfortable in noisy places. They tend to withdraw. They'll say चलो अब हम वहां नहीं जाते हैं because वहां पे बहुत आवाज होता है. तो over a period of time क्या होता है कि their social interactions get limited, so they get into a more of an isolation kind of a phenomena, which is obviously not good from a mental health or a physical health perspective. In fact, senior citizens need more people around, if anything else. So, but because of noise, they are not able to take a simple example. A lot of buildings which are road facing tend to have garden, in the front. Now, when that garden, because of the proximity to the road, becomes very noisy, the senior citizens say that, okay, I don't want to go there. I don't enjoy that experience of sitting in the middle of all of that noise. So what happens? The social connect that they were having starts to come down. So social isolation is a very real problem for senior citizens due to noise. Next, please. Then, the visually impaired. While writing this book, I had a thought that what happens to the visually impaired, because they are relying on noise, on sound rather, to navigate, right? So I went to an organization for the blind, and I met and spoke with people over there. And my concern was correct. They find it very difficult to navigate in noisy cities. They can't hear their cane, so they're not able to make the right judgment. Sometimes they trip and fall, or they hit their head against something. So when we talk about accessibility, most of the times in the media, they just say that, okay, is this place accessible by a wheelchair? While wheelchair accessibility is also one aspect, reducing noises will also make our cities and spaces more accessible for those who are visually impaired. Then people with sensory processing disorders. I met a lady whose son is has autism, and she said that noise bothers him so much that it really gets him very disturbed. So what happens is when a person like that has gets disturbed, it obviously affects the caregiver also. So the noise is affecting directly two people, the person and the caregiver. Next. Now sleep. We may think that it just okay, we just need to lie down for 6 7 hours and we get energized. But what it does is it helps you detox. It reduces the inflammation in your body, reduces the risk for a lot of diseases. It creates cleans your lymphatic systems, supports reduces anxiety, supports your memory, improves your heart health, nervous system. This is all that sleep does. And for sleep to be able to do all this, one is the duration of the sleep, and second is the quality of the sleep. Both are very important. In many places, what's now happening is that people are kind of lying down for 6 7 hours, but if the quality of sleep is not good because of noise in the environment, you're not well rested. You don't have all these benefits coming to you. Next. So these are some of the impacts. I mean, in fact, the impact of chronic sleep deprivation, it's a very long list. I've picked up the main points to show what all that it does. Hypertension, diabetes, heart attack, depression and anxiety, memory loss, reduced immunity, psychiatric disorders. So when we address the noise in our cities, one of the benefits will be that people will be able to sleep better, and the frequency or the extent of these problems and others will start to come down. Next. Um, a lot of people today have their own vehicle, whether it's a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler. So chronically sleep deprived people are, very vulnerable to accidents. It increases the propensity for road rage, because the slightest, provocation, people get triggered, and then, it results into road rage and arguments and sometimes fights between people on the road. The root cause quite often is sleep deprivation. Next. Now, in many urban areas, honking is like a norm. I see this in Bombay. The signal is turned green, so obviously vehicles are going to go forward. Despite that, many vehicles in that lane will start to honk. There's no reason to do this, but this is something that a lot of vehicle drivers tend to do. Now, the horn firstly impacts the person who's honking, and this is especially true of non-air conditioned vehicles like two-wheelers and autos. When they honk, what they don't realize is that they themselves are the first victims of that noise. Next, please. In the book, I have cited statistics like this for several of the metro cities, but let's take Bombay as an example. Now, at the end of 2023, Bombay had 46 lakh registered vehicles. Now, let's assume that on any given day, only 70% are operational, that is 32.2 lakh. Okay, then we'll make a very, very conservative assumption that these vehicles during the course of the day, from morning to night when they are out, they will honk only 10 times in a day. Now, this you'll appreciate is a very conservative estimate because a lot of vehicles tend to do 10 honks in like 2-3 kilometers. But let's assume it's only 10. Even at 10, what this means is that in the city of Bombay, on any given day, there are minimum of 322 lakh honks in a 603 square kilometer city. This is a lot of noise. So if we were able to, get to a no honk situation in our urban areas, we would instantly be able to improve the quality of life for every resident of that area. Next. Now, we've seen videos of some parts of Northeast. I have personally seen this in Gangtok. 2 kilometer long traffic jam, nobody is honking. So if this can happen in one part of India, I think we can definitely emulate that in other areas of our country. What are all the noises on a road? Traffic, honking, construction, road repair, loudspeakers, and of course, potholes. Next, please. Yeah. But so now it brings us to a very important question: that is noise pollution limited to the roads? This is often a conception that people have, that noise is there, only on the roads. It's not so. Next, please. Malls and stores. You'll be able to relate this with your own visits to malls. If you go to a mall, the central area of the mall is playing some music. Then when you go to any store, the store is playing its own kind of music. So when you come out, by the time you like visited 3 or 4 stores, one's mind is in a spin and you don't even know why. You think that, okay, I'm in a comfortable air conditioned place. Why am I feeling so hassled? Part of that reason is the noise that you're being exposed to. Metros and trains, firstly there is the movement. Vehicle itself is, when it is in motion, it's making noise. Then you have all these advertisements, announcements, uh, and people making watching mobile on speaker phone mode. So the decibel level in a vehicle, at least in Bombay, what I've seen, ranges from 78 to 82, 84 decibel level. Restaurants, a lot of restaurants think that when they play upbeat music at a very high volume, they're somehow contributing to the a happy atmosphere for the diners, but that's not the case. When you go to a restaurant, when there's too much of noise happening, you have to talk louder to be heard by your family member, or if you've gone for a business meeting. So then, because they are talking louder, others have to talk louder, and overall the noise level just goes to an unmanageable level. Gyms, very high volume music, uh, early in the morning or any time of the day, they keep playing very high volume music, because they think that's a way to create a very upbeat kind of an atmosphere. In fact, I stopped going to gyms because I couldn't adapt to this whole thing of listening to songs at such a loud volume early in the morning. Next, please. Mobile. So now this is a big problem in many urban areas. People are sitting in lobbies of buildings and they're watching stuff on the mobile on speaker phone mode. in lifts, in parks, in restaurants, in buses, trains, metros. Sometimes even in a clinic, even in a doctor clinic, I'm seeing this phenomena playing out. People are watching something on a speaker mode. It would be preferable that they use a earphone so that at least people around them are not disturbed. But this civic culture really needs to come in. Next. So essentially, what seems to be happening is that we are moving from one noisy in an urban area, we are moving from one noisy place to another, while enduring noise and probably making noise also along the way. So everybody is contributing in some way or the other. This is a very fascinating research by Harvard Medical Publication. This was done over a 5-year period, and the gist of this is that every 5 decibel level increase in an average 24-hour period correlated to 34% increase in heart attacks, strokes, and other serious heart-related problems. Now, this is a very, very, revealing and serious statistic. 5 decibel increase contributes to 34% increase in heart attacks. Maybe now we can understand why in India we are seeing people in their 30s suddenly, dying due to heart attack. It could be that their lifestyle was an issue, but it could also be that they were chronically exposed to high noise levels. Next, please. Yeah. So, so this is something for us to take very, very seriously. And as scientists, you can assimilate this information and share it with people in your organizations and communities to sensitize people to the impact of noise pollution on health. What happens is that in India, a lot of people tend to think of noise as an inconvenience or an irritant. So then they treat this when you take the problem lightly, your solution, your approach to it is that either you don't do anything or you do something very little about it. So it's like, you have an injury on your hand and you think ये तो छोटा सा scratch है or you'll put a band-aid on it. But when you realize that this is a fracture and you need a cast, you will approach it in a very different way. So understanding that noise is a health hazard is a starting point in our country. Next, please. Now, cardiovascular diseases are becoming a very serious problem in India. More than uh, 10 or 11 million people in India today are hypertensive. These are the ones who are detected. Undetected is an unknown number, right? And this is affecting people now across age groups. Previously, we used to see people only in their 50s or 60s getting affected. Now, even people in their 20s and 30s are having cardiovascular issues. Many are even dying as a consequence of it. So when we make our cities quieter, we will be able to increase the lifespan and well-being for crores of people. Destinies of families can be shifted constructively and positively. Next, please. Now, air and noise both are, kind of related in the sense that they are very egalitarian, right? You can't say that, okay, air will be polluted in a shanty, but when it comes into, Antilla, it will suddenly get clean. No, if the air is dirty, 10 meters away, it is going to be polluted when it comes to any fancy building. Similarly, noise. Noise is not just going to happen in a shanty and it is not, it will disappear when it comes to another place. Now, of course, in a building, you may have the luxury of, double glazed glass and you may be able to close your door and window. As long as you put yourself into a pod, you can protect yourself to some extent from the noise. But the moment you open the door and go to your balcony or you open the window, you are still exposed to the same level of noise as anybody else in that area. If you see now, in fact, one phenomena that I'm observing, next time in your cities also, you could maybe try doing this. I find in Bombay, when I travel, I look at buildings. I find that the balconies of most buildings are abandoned areas. People are putting some plants or they're using it for storage, but the balcony is not a place where people are able to sit or stand and enjoy a cup of tea, or just sit over there. It's like it's a dead space of real estate, because when you stand in the balcony, what happens is most of the time you're just exposed to very high levels of noise. So nobody wants that. So people are literally not using their balconies in their homes in many parts of Mumbai. Next, please. So, whether you are Amitabh Bachchan or a poor man or woman, noise and air pollution will affect both in an equal way, because they are very egalitarian and mobile. Next, please. So we must clean the air and reduce noise for all. We can't do it selectively. You can do it selectively only in an individual way, where you choose to put yourself in a certain environment, close the doors, windows, put on noise reducing headphones or earplugs. But if you want to, keep have a good environment while your door or window is open, then the city needs to reduce the noise level. Next, please. Now, these instructions which you are seeing now on the screen, this is something that every adult Indian either has been told this by a doctor, or they have a member in their family who has been told this. So people know that, okay, if I have, let's say, hypertension or diabetes, I should not smoke, I should not take alcohol, I should not eat oily food, I should eat low spice homemade food. And if I'm not doing it, if I'm violating this, it is in violation of the norms that the doctor has told me. Okay, next, please. But what's ironical is that today no doctor has really told a patient that reduce the exposure to loud noise for everyone in your family. Now, because doctors have not been saying this, people don't take it seriously. One of the reasons why we don't take noise seriously is we think that ये अगर important होता तो मेरा doctor मुझे बताता. So it's because the doctors have not been saying it. People think that, yeah, it's a problem, but maybe it's not so serious. It's not affecting my health. So I've actually engaged with the Indian Medical Association, done a session for ENT specialists, and soon we will be doing it for other specializations of doctors, to get doctors to start telling patients that reduce your exposure to loud noise for yourself and for everybody in your family. Next, please. So scientists can power the journey to a quieter and therefore healthier India. Let's see how. Next, please. This is my book, Noise in Our Nation. It is India's, and in fact, the world's first book, which is written in a very citizen-centric way, where every segment of society has a role to play in reducing noise. See, if we want to make our cities livable, we have to clean up the air, we have to improve water, we have to do a lot of things. While all the problems are equally important, the solutions for example, for cleaning air, it's a very complex phenomenon. It's going to require ongoing simultaneous effort by multiple stakeholders for us to improve the air in our cities. But with noise, even a common citizen can contribute to reducing of noise. Let's see how. Next, please. The book details the impact on every age group. So when you read the book, what will happen is you will see yourself and members of your family in one chapter or the other, and you'll understand better, okay, why is my son behaving like this? Why is my mother or mother-in-law, having this kind of a problem? So you'll understand the root cause of some of the problems that you are facing and members of your family are facing. And there are actionable ideas for everybody, for individual, community, business, NGO, civic body, government, media, and educational institutions. Next, please. You can get a copy of the book from our website, indiapositivecitizen.com/shop. I will share the link on WhatsApp to one of your members, and that can be shared to all your various chapters. So those who are interested can understand this. And I would definitely request and urge all the members of your organizations to read this book, because as scientists you will be able to relate with the message in it, and also as scientists you will be able to contribute towards raising awareness amongst the people that you are associated with. Next, please. How can you be a part of the change? You could use your social media presence, WhatsApp groups to raise awareness on noise pollution. When you visit a noisy restaurant or mall, take a few minutes to tell the concerned person about the impact of noise and the need to reduce noise. When you introduce yourself as a scientist, people will take it more seriously. I do this a lot. I'm not a scientist, but I do this a lot. At a local Star Bazaar, at one time they hired a guy who was, I think, an aspiring DJ. It was very difficult to stand in that shop and remember what one had come there to buy. And I had to then speak to the store manager to say that, look, you are in the business of selling products, and that selling of products is not being enabled by loud noise in your establishment. And then they understood, and now they have, reduced the volume, or sometimes they have no noise at all, which is definitely preferable. So you as a scientist, when you make a point about noise in environments that you frequent, people will take it more seriously. Next, please. Honk free drive. Now, this is something that we can all start to do right from today evening, right? If you're driving a vehicle, please pledge to honk only when there is a risk to well-being, not as a habit or as a way to tell people to move out of a particular area. Uh, in your organizations, you can educate your teams and extended teams to pledge to a honk-free drive. Ask organizations that you are associated with to work with local authorities and communities to reduce honking outside a hospital. Next, please. Next. This is a poster. I will share this also on WhatsApp, so it can go to all your members. We are putting up these kind of posters in various places, like in the traffic police offices, in doctors' clinics, waiting areas, so that people in one snapshot can understand how noise is affecting them and other members of their family and what they can do about it. Next, please. I'm also inviting, members of your organizations. Once you've read the book, you can write a blog post with your perspective on noise pollution. We'd be happy to carry that on our website and social media pages, so that we can reach out to more people with your unique perspective. Next, please. We also plan to engage with the government for policies on noise pollution. So I'm inviting, the Women Scientists Association to join in this initiative. It would help to, persuade the government on various policies that are needed for reducing noise in our cities. Next, please. So inviting all to be a guardian of silence. In fact, we have a WhatsApp channel for Guardian of Silence. I will share that link also. So those of you who are interested can join in, where we share inputs about noise pollution, the impact, what are some of the ways in which you could make a change. So you'll get a lot of resources which deepens your understanding of noise pollution, as well as what you can do to reduce noise. Next, please. This is something that I wrote at the start of the book. The significant problems we face cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. Next, please. This is our website, inviting all to visit and see the content we have there. Next, please. Yeah. So that completes the presentation on noise. I'm happy to take any questions that